It's a beautiful Thursday morning, and you know what that means. It's almost the weekend. Thank you very much for joining us here on Africa Good Morning. We are bringing you the news-making headlines across Africa. My name is Aina Raizakoya, alongside Ashwin Berry.
Yes, and bringing you the news across Africa, indeed we shall. We'll also be crossing over to Talent Korea in Zimbabwe as she lets us know what's going on down there. Maseko Mohwasa is going to be talking about unemployment in Botswana. And Ari Hochart, towards the end of the broadcast, will bring the sports news highlighting the story of Serena Williams, arguably the greatest athlete of all time, dropping out of Wimbledon. However, you can't start your morning without some coffee. At least I can't, and I usually start it with some fresh Melita coffee. Now, we've been telling you that you can win this beautiful package, this beautiful hamper of Melita, and we should let you know now today is your very last day to do so. So make sure you pay attention, because we'll let you know just how you can get a way to start your day the right way with Melita through the broadcast. Yes.
All right. Today is Social Media Day. Social media has become a major part of our lives today. For many of us, it is how we keep up with our friends, with what our friends are up to, even if they are on the other side of the planet. It has played a big part in the world events. Let's have a look at Social Media Day. Let's get into our news-making headlines, starting off with some rather sad news. 8-year-old US boy shot and kills baby girl, injures toddler sister with father's gun. An 8-year-old boy shot dead a baby and wounded her toddler sister while playing with his father's gun in Florida last weekend, police said. The father, who's 45-year-old Roderick Randall, was arrested and charged with culpable negligence, unlawful possession of firearm, and concealment of evidence, Escambia County Sheriff Ship Simmons said. The tragedy, all too common in a country awash with firearm, took place in a motel where Randall, who has a criminal record that forbade him from owning a gun, met with his girlfriend. He had brought his son, while his girlfriend had brought along her 2-year-old twins and her 1-year-old daughter. At one point, Randall went out and left his weapon in the closet and said the sheriff during a press conference. Knowing where it was hidden, his son took it and started playing with it while the girl's mother was asleep, starts playing with it and fires a round into the 1-year-old toddler, ultimately killing the 1-year-old. The bullet then goes through the strike one of the 2-year-old toddlers, who is injured but is expected to recover.
Truly saddening news. And you know, for a country that calls itself the greatest in the world, America may need to certainly make itself much safer. Heading on to the next story, we are in Egypt as Egyptian court sentences 10 to death on terrorism charges. An Egyptian court sentenced 10 people to death and more than 50 others to life in prison on Tuesday after they were convicted of supporting or carrying out attacks against security forces and sabotage of state infrastructure. The prosecution linked the attacks, which took place in Cairo between 2013 and 2015, to the now outlawed Muslim Brotherhood. Rights group Amnesty International said the mass trial, which included more than 200 defendants, was grossly unfair and called for the sentences to be quashed. Egypt mounted one of the biggest crackdowns in its modern history on the Brotherhood following the army's 2013 overthrow of Islamist President Mohamed Morsi. The court had referred the defendants to Egypt's top religious authority, the Grand Mufti, to seek approval for a death sentence in January.
Bomb explosion rocked Ethiopian city. There have been bomb blasts in 4 separate places in Ethiopia's northern city of Bahir Dar, police have said, indicating a further deterioration of security in Amhara, the country's second largest region. The explosion occurred in selected strategic places in the city, which is the regional capital, and were aimed at terrorizing the public, according to a police spokeswoman. She did not disclose whether there were any casualties, but confirmed that 6 suspects were apprehended in relation to the incident. Tension have escalated in the region after the authorities launched what they called a law enforcement operation that has seen the arrest of thousands of individuals in the region. There have been a number of anti-government protests in recent days following a massacre of ethnic Amharas in the neighboring Oromia region. More than 250 village farmers were killed in the incident.
Now moving on to South Africa, tavern tragedy, carbon monoxide poisoning suspected. Carbon monoxide poisoning has emerged as a possible cause of the death of 21 teenagers at Enyobeni Tavern in Scenery Park, East London on Sunday. Sources close to the investigation believe the children aged 13 to 17 could have been killed by toxic fumes that may have emanated from a petrol generator that was suspected to have been used inside the tavern. Preliminary investigations point to the release of carbon monoxide in the tavern. A source said police crime scene experts found a petrol generator inside the venue where hundreds of young revelers partied from Saturday night into early hours of Sunday morning. However, witnesses and survivors who were at the tavern during the incident confirmed there was no power at the venue, although there was no load shedding schedule. The chief medical officer at the East London mortuary, Dr. Solomon Zondi, told the Mail and Guardian a gaseous explosion at the tavern could be linked to the deaths. The health department said it treated and discharged 16 survivors at its Mpilweni Gompo Health Center on Sunday. Some patrons used this window to escape from Enyobeni Tavern after fellow partygoers dropped dead on tables and chairs. The 12 girls and 9 boys died mysteriously after attending a party at the Scenery Park venue where free rounds of alcohol, Wi-Fi and photo shoots were promised to attendees.
Rwandans fear leaving their homes in Congo as anger grows over rebel attacks. Life in Kinshasa was going well for Zawadi, a mother of 2 from Rwanda, until far-away fighting stoked Congolese anger against her country, and videos of men with machetes prowling the city streets in search for Rwandans surfaced on social media. The trouble started in May when the M23 rebel group resumed heavy fighting against the military in the eastern reaches of Democratic Republic of Congo after years of relative quit. Congo accuses Rwanda of supporting M23, which Rwanda denies. Hundreds of kilometers to the west in the Congolese capital Kinshasa, Zawadi watched in horror as a video of anti-Rwandan demonstrations circulated on social media, and people she knew started posting anti-Rwandan images and slogans. Zawadi is no longer even able to work. Even my business partner, when they see me, they hurl hateful words, and said Zawadi, speaking in her home where she spent hours every day with her 2 young children following the latest development on her phone. We'll be right back with more news after the break. Stay with us.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. We start the second half of our top stories in South Africa as Gauteng teacher who was accused of drugging and raping a grade 8 pupil has been found not guilty by Labour Council. A Gauteng school teacher accused of drugging and raping a grade 8 pupil at his office has been found not guilty and ordered to return to work. On a balance of probabilities, the Education Labour Relations Council said it was not proven that the natural science teacher at Langalala Langalate Technical School had raped the pupil. According to the ELRC, the pupil had accused Emmanuel Bruce Barden of drugging and raping her in September 2021. She said that on the day of the alleged incident, her class teacher had sent her to the office to fetch a class register. On her way back, she met Barden in the corridor, who then asked her to follow him into his office. The people said when they entered Barden's office, he offered her a cold drink in a cup, which she drank. She alleged that she felt drowsy after drinking it. The people said Barden took her to his office table. Now, she said the teacher threatened to kill her if she told anyone about the incident. A criminal case was opened against the teacher, who spent more than a month in prison before the charges against him were withdrawn. The pupil was taken to hospital, where it was apparently confirmed that she had been raped. During his testimony before the Labour Council, Barden pleaded not guilty. The teacher said when he was arrested, he went through a period of shock. In his ruling, the ELRC's Monde Boyce told the people gave contradictory versions. Boyce said while the results might have concluded that the pupil was raped, there was no basis that exists on which he can conclude that it was the employee that raped the girl.
In our next story, Libyan resident faces water shortages. Oil-rich Libya has been plugged into chaos for the last decade, throughout which public utilities like Tobruk's desalination plant were largely neglected. It has become a struggle for the residents of the Libyan city of Tobruk to gain access to water, with the only seawater desalination plant in need of massive repair. If the water supply is cut off, the lives of thousands of people will be threatened, an official has warned. It once provided 40,000 cubic meters per day, a number that has shrunk by 2/3 due to obvious wear and tear in the plant. Tobruk municipality official Mosaud Al-Waharan said, "Honestly, what is available now is only about 15,000 cubic meters per day. So this is really a big problem, a problem that worries officials and residents, and there is no solution to on the horizon, not in the short term," a resident said.
Now in our next story, South Africa records second monkeypox case not related to travel. South Africa has recorded a second case of monkeypox in a 32-year-old male patient from Cape Town with no travel history, the health ministry said on Tuesday. The country reported its first monkeypox case last week, a case that was also not linked to travel. Monkeypox is a viral disease that causes flu-like symptoms and skin lesions. The source and linkage of cases remain under investigation, South Africa's health ministry said in a statement, adding that there was a high probability of local transmission. More than 40 countries where monkeypox is not endemic have reported outbreaks of the viral disease, which spreads through close contact and was first found in monkeys.
In our next story, in Senegal, authorities have been protesting because of tension. The Senegalese authorities have banned an anti-government demonstration announced for Wednesday, 29th of June in Dakar, risking further anger from the opposition in a climate of growing pre-election tensions. On the 17th of June, a previous demonstration which was banned had caused clashes resulting in the death of 3 people, and more than 200 people were arrested, including 2 MPs, according to the opposition. To justify this new ban, an order from the prefect of Dakar cited real threats to public order, real risk of infiltration by ill-intentioned individuals, serious threats of attacks on public buildings, and a real risk of hindering the free movement of people and goods. He also spoke on a violation of the Electoral Code and its Article L61, which prohibits any disguised propaganda in the 30 days preceding the opening of an electoral campaign. The campaign is due to open on the 10th of July for the legislative elections on the 31st of July.
Disguised propaganda, interesting term. Now, police dispersed protest over economic hardship in Ghana. Police clashed with hundreds of demonstrators in Ghana's capital, Accra, on Tuesday, protesting against fuel price hikes, attacks on electronic payments, and other levies as the country grapples with spiraling inflation and an economic downturn. Ghanaians in recent months have been feeling the pinch of record inflation and the fallout of the Ukraine war amid cuts in government spending to avoid a full-blown debt crisis. Hundreds on Tuesday joined an authorized two-day protest led by local lobby group Arise Ghana to denounce economic hardships. Social media and Ghana News Agency footage showed police responded with tear gas, rubber bullets and hot water when the crowd veered off the proposed route. Senior Arise Ghana member Sami Gamfi told Reuters by telephone, saying it was different to a previously agreed route. All right, that brings us to the end of our top stories. So much more African news coming to you right here on Africa Good Morning.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. Let's have a look at our following inset, which is a submission from the Health of All Film Festival organized by the World Health Organization, and it focuses on disability and rehabilitation in Sierra Leone. The video, titled Improving the Lives in 3-Dimension, features 3D printed prosthetics and was directed by Merel van der Stelde from the Netherlands. Let's have a look.
Yes, I think the 3D project is very useful. We have a good number of people that were amputated due to the war. And then now, due to the advent of non-communicable diseases like diabetes and road traffic accidents, children born with congenital malformations and all those stuff. So that all adds to the huge number of amputations that we see in Sierra Leone.
In 2018, 3D Sierra Leone was founded in collaboration with the 3D Lab in the Radboud University Medical Center in the Netherlands. The aim of this research is to improve prosthetic facilities for low-income countries. In only 3 steps, we manufacture the prosthetics. First, we 3D scan the patient's leg or arm with the 3D scanner. Then we make the design on the computer. And finally, we 3D print the prosthesis with a 3D printer.
When we finish to print this one, we'll try to couple up it together with the feet. So after we finish to couple up the feet, we can also hand over the prosthetics to the patient, so Idrissa can teach the patient how to walk.
I teach them how to walk, and I teach them to walk slowly in the beginning. But as time goes on, I learn them to do faster. Some lost their hands, some lost their foot due to the road accidents. So this is why we are here to help our people. And they are happy, really. They appreciate the projects.
I'm also happy for the prosthetics because now I can walk little, not like the first time, but for now it's better for me. I'm so happy about it.
Ghana Masanga, Gamani Selfo, Ghana Masanga, Zico on the beat, Gamani Selfo, oh yeah, a BT, man of tomorrow, Masanga Hospital, not the best, na salon all over the world, whether you reach your poor, now we duty, foreigner you good medical service, so if you not be known now, you follow right now, we the open from Monday to Sunday, mama and papa, brothers and sisters, so they come and yourself, if you not be known, Ghana Masanga, now you follow now, come and yourself, make you with it on the fire, Ghana Masanga, yeah, come and yourself, you win a belly.
My dreams will be, I want to see that every persons with disability, especially amputees, have access to quality, affordable prosthetic device in the future.
Africa Good Morning is a current affairs program that brings you the latest from Southern Africa and beyond. News, economics, sport, weather, interviews, and so much more. For any advertising or news-related queries, contact AGM at synergy.com.na. Africa Good Morning, bringing Africa to you.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning, your reliable source of decentralized African news. Keeping that in mind, we're going to cross over to Zimbabwe and have a conversation with Talent Gore, Talent Omkase.
Tamuka Edwikana Mamukase Africa.
Tamuka Hedu. Now, Talent, I want you to think about exactly how many times you may have read or heard this headline. Government has brought back the United States dollar as legal tender.
Well, I have heard about it so many times. But on Monday, I did a story whereby I was saying that the government had said that they're going to introduce new policy measures to stem inflation. So government brought back the United States dollar as the legal tender to stem rising inflation and restore confidence in the economy. But critics are saying that the move will lead to more demands for salaries and wages to be pegged in the United States dollar. Finance and Economic Development Minister Mthuli Ncube also dangled housing loans to the country's civil servants, but more than doubled interest rates to 200% to render the initiative moot. While the United States dollar is already widely used, it was not legal. It was just used by people illegally. But now the government has made it illegal to use the United States dollar, and the government said that it would enshrine its use in the new law to give market confidence. Professor Mthuli Ncube also said that the market lacks confidence that the multi-currency system is here to stay for the foreseeable future. So people are saying that we don't think this is going to go anywhere. The government should just do away with the Zimbabwean dollar and just use the United States dollar. But the government is saying that we can't afford to just use the United States dollar alone. So we are introducing the multi-currency system. This currency system was also introduced back in 2008, 2009. Again, this is when the multi-currency system was introduced, and it was stopped in 2013, 14, thereabouts, and now it is back again.
All right, Talent, what actions is the government taking to combat drug abuse?
So government has set up 5 rehabilitation centers that have so far benefited 600 substance abusers. So speaking during a post-cabinet media briefing, Information and Publicity Minister Monica Mchonga said that the Zimbabwe Vulnerability Assessment Committee report showed that many youth had turned to substance abuse as unemployment rates continues to rise. And government has set up 5 centers for the rehabilitation of youth affected by substance abuse, with a total of 600 substance abusers having gone through the centers so far. Government also said that they're going to address employment challenges. Government is implementing various job creation initiatives, including the provision of skills and entrepreneurship training for income generation projects by vocational training centers through integrated skills outreach programs. The government said that they're going to continue setting up rehabilitation centers. This is just the beginning, and so far they have set up 5 new rehabilitation centers, and it has benefited 600 substance abusers so far. So they say that they're going to be setting up those rehabilitation centers across the country, and more are going to come.
You know, Talent, I'm inclined to applaud the Zimbabwean government on that move, because generally it's just a police crackdown which does not get down to the root of the matter, which is that the society needs healing. Kudos on them for opening 5 rehabilitation centers. Now, in the last of your stories, power utilities ZESA on Tuesday warned of increased power cuts following a fault at the Wange power station. Could you tell us about that?
Well, in a statement, ZESA said that power transmission arm, the Zimbabwe Electricity and Distribution Company, said that the reduced power generation will see customers going for several hours daily without power. And also, this is going to go up until next week. They say that there's a fault at Wange power station, and this is why we are not going to be having power till next week. As it stands right now, ZESA went, I think, about 15 minutes ago here at my house. It went about 15 minutes ago, and we are not sure when it will be coming back. They say that they're going to be power cuts for hours, and they didn't say for how many hours, but they just said 4 hours. And normalcy will return probably next week after they have fixed the fault that is at Wange power station.
Very, very distressing indeed. I can imagine that is catastrophic for businesses. But thank you very much, Talent Gotv, for continuing to bring us the news as it is from Zimbabwe.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good having you on Africa. Good morning, Aina. Yesterday we were talking about ESCOM and the power cuts, and you asked me if there were power cuts in Zimbabwe. I think that answers the question quite significantly. Of course, we hope everybody can have their lights on. I'm hoping for some more natural light, i.e. the sun burning hotter than this winter cold. So I'll have my fingers crossed as I watch the weather forecast along with you. Up next.
Masego Mokwasa is in Botswana, and she has stories on the ground in her home country. Masego, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Aina and Ashwin, and also good morning, Africa.
All right, we are doing fantastic. We understand that Botswana youth struggle to access startup funding amid high employment rate. Please tell us about this.
Yes, Aina, it seems that tough times are lasting for you.
It seems like we may have lost Maseko Mohwasa over there, and she was mid-sentence talking about tough times lasting for the youth, and I'm just going to highlight the stories that she was bringing to us on Africa. Good morning. Letlakane police say gender-based violence is continuing to rise, and this is indeed a plague in Southern Africa, in the entire world, and obviously we stay, focused on such stories and their developments. And Botswana man faces charges for hunting in Namibia. Now, I'm as Pan-African as the next person, but I feel like these are some of the headlines that make me feel a little bit iffy. You know what I mean? When we cross over for illegal activities, and Botswana men facing charges for hunting in Namibia, we will certainly be following that to see all the relevant developments. But this is still Africa Good Morning, bringing you all the news as you need it. Stay with us.
NMH Ad Spotter spots the daily adverts in all NMH printed editions, from the daily newspapers to the retail specials, as well as weekly, monthly and yearly focus editions. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, please contact adspotter@synergy.com.na. NMH Ad Spotter. Spot it, like it, buy it.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. It seems Maseko Mohwasa is back. Maseko, I'm just going to give you the floor. Tell us about the rising unemployment amongst the youth in Botswana, the Letlakane police talking about gender-based violence rising, and the Botswana man who is unfortunately facing charges for hunting in Namibia.
Thank you very much for that, Ashwin, and I'd like to apologize for the technological hiccup. So youth continues to struggle to access business startup funding here in Botswana. As Genesis Analytics consultant Loveness Kekana says, youth in Botswana still face challenges of access to funding to start businesses. When making a presentation during the General Unlimited Landscape Analysis Validation Workshop organized by UNICEF Botswana and the Office of the President, Kekana said government's effort to funding the youth is overdone partly by oversubscription. She highlighted that the stringent requirements by funding facilities also hinder youth from accessing funds, as most of the businesses are startups. The event was focused on the landscape analysis of the youth ecosystem in Botswana, looking at 4 thematic areas being financing, entrepreneurship skills, social impact, and connectivity. This comes just after we hosted the Forbes 30 Under 30, and very few of our Botswana youth businesses made it to the cut. Next up, Letlakane police say gender-based violence is continuing to rise in the village. Speaking to us, Station Commander Superintendent Michael Mapebu says that in the past 6 months, they recorded 39 rape cases in the village. Mapepu said that the murder cases are also on the rise, citing an incident that took place where a gruesome murder took place. In the latest incident, a 39-year-old man of Mupipi apparently stabbed his ex-fiancee's 40-year-old sister to death with a spade and a knife. The deceased had reportedly been on a visit to her younger sister, who was not in the house when the man attacked her. The suspect remains in police custody, and Mapepu says that this is the 4th case of murder in Letlakane in the month of June alone. Last but not least, a middle-aged Botswana man who has been shot and injured by security agents in Namibia is facing charges of illegal hunting of a protected animal in the country. The Ministry of Environment and Tourism Public Relations Officer Romeo Mununda says that the suspect will face the music for illegally entering the country by jumping the border fence at Shagawe from the Botswana side. Mununda says wildlife officers were patrolling the park when they found a carcass of a giraffe before the suspect, who had a companion and appeared to be skinning the animal. Now, there's been a lot of conflict around the Namibia-Botswana area, especially where it intersects nearby Zambia and Zimbabwe. As far as Botswana goes, there's a lot of illegal hunting going on, even beyond just giraffes. There's a lot of conflict, human-animal conflict there, and we're hoping that it doesn't affect our neighborly relationship too much. But yes, we hope that our local officers will get it under control in time.
Yes, we certainly hope so too. And just to say, Masego, our neighborly relationship, it's well intact. Nothing to worry about here. Thank you very much for bringing us the news from Botswana.
And thank you very much for having me. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's a holiday tomorrow in Botswana, so I'm definitely going to enjoy it.
Do enjoy it indeed. Now, some people in South Africa may be enjoying electricity coming back as Eskom employees start returning to work. Yeah. We'll talk about that in economic news after the break.
In economic news this morning, we start off with some good news. Eskom employees start returning to work amid speculation of a higher wage offer. After a week of protest disruption due to a wage negotiation deadlock, Minister of Public Enterprise Pravin Gordhan announced on Tuesday afternoon that Eskom employees would return to work, while Gordhan said in his briefing that an agreement was reached on the wage settlement. Details of the offer are still not public and are expected to be formally tabled on Friday. The protest escalated from obstructing access to Eskom stations, from working employees to intimidation and attacks on their homes and vehicles. This left vital maintenance work undone, 10 units down, and plugged South Africa into stage 6 of load shedding. Labour and Eskom will return to the Central Bargaining Forum to consider a new wage offer on Friday. As staff returned to work, Eyewitness News reported that Eskom made a 7% offer to unions. Eskom spokesperson Sikotani Machacha would not confirm this report, but said that workers were returning to work on Wednesday morning. National Union of Mine Workers Secretary General William Mababa told Fin24 that the offer from Eskom would be considered on Friday, but that the details of the offers were not disclosed.
In our next story, De Beers and Botswana extend diamond sales deal by a year. De Beers Group said on Wednesday that it had agreed with the government of Botswana to extend by 1 year an agreement for the sale of rough diamonds from their joint venture, Debswana. The 2011 rough diamond sales agreement, in which the venture sells 75% of its output to De Beers, was set to expire in 2020, but was extended a full year to last December and then again for 6 more months. The Anglo-American unit said in a statement that the parties had agreed to the 1-year extension to enable the finalization of discussions towards a new agreement. Diamond sales account for a large share of Botswana's foreign currency earnings. The extension of the agreement for the sale of Botswana's diamond output runs until June 30, 2023.
Uganda U-turn on car imports upsets Kenya vehicle dealers. Uganda has made Uganda has made an about turn and relaxed the tough imports condition it has set for vehicles aged over 9 years entering its market from July, dealing a setback to Kenya dealers who had hoped to benefit from curbs on the sale of such automobiles. The Ugandan Revenue Authority had in April issued a directive that imports a vehicle older than 9 years be cleared under the East Africa's Community Single Custom Territory, which allows members of the bloc to jointly collect custom taxes from July the 1st, 2022. The custom clearance of such motor vehicles shall be facilitated under the Single Custom Territory arrangement, where taxes will be paid upon arrival at the port of entry into the East African Community, the Ugandan taxman added.
Now, a loaf of bread is a sign of wealth in North Korea amid soaring flour prices in the country. This is according to a report. The hottest status symbol in the North Korea is not a new handbag or luxury watch. It's a loaf of bread. According to a Radio Free Asia, flour has become so expensive in the reclusive country that eating bread has become synonymous with wealth. It's the most prosperous households that can buy imported flour from the marketplace and make foods like bread and jijim, an anonymous source told the US-funded nonprofit outlet in a report published on Tuesday. Flour is now 3 times more expensive than rice, which has long been considered a luxury food item reserved for the wealthiest North Koreans, per the outlet. Most North Koreans primarily consume corn and other coarse grains, RFA added. Another source cited by the outlet described flour as a deluxe ingredient that people use to show off when guests come over. According to RFA, flour in North Korea costs around 4,000 to 4,600 won, which is the equivalent of $4.4 and $5.11 per kilogram in 2019. However, after the COVID-19 pandemic hit, the price shot up to as much as $33 per kilogram. The outlet reported that the current price is about $20 per kilogram, the equivalent to 18,000 won. Flour prices increased after the hermit nation halted imports when it sealed its borders at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, RFA reported. While borders reopened briefly this year, they quickly shut again amid a renewed COVID outbreak in neighboring China, per the outlet. That brings us to the end of our economic news stories. Let's have a look at the economic indicators.
The Evening Review is a daily interview-based talk show that dissects and expounds on current affairs as they occur in Namibia. The show aims at reaching Namibians of all age groups who seek better understanding of the state of current affairs in the country. This show is broadcasted on NTV, 1up2.com, and cross-shared on the following Facebook platforms: Namibian Sun and Namibia Media Holdings. The Evening Review focuses on interviews, latest news, and up-to-the-minute current events. Contact evening@synergy.com.na. Evening Review, unpacking today's pertinent issues.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. Now in the world of sport, Serena Williams, who I reiterate is probably the greatest athlete of all time, has unfortunately fallen out of Wimbledon in the first round. And Rafael Nadal, who was a little skeptical about playing in Wimbledon, is on to the next. Let's have a look at the rest of the sports stories with Ari Hochad.
Good day everyone, international sports news time, and starting off with tennis, Wimbledon continuing. Week 1 has been exciting already, and going to the women's draw first, and actually sad news in a way, it's Serena Williams that fell out in the first round. She lost in the first round, unfortunately. She lost to Harmony Tan of France. The score there was 7-5, 1-6 and 7-6. It was Thunder started off well, but then Williams won the second set by 6-1, and in a tiebreak in the third set it was Harmony Tan from France that went through. Serena Williams winning 23 major titles, just one short of the record of Margaret Court on 24. Rafael Nadal, the winner of 22 majors in the men's division, he's the record holder there. He came through his first round, also had a bit of a struggle. He had to fight off Francesco Girondolo. He is from Argentina. The score there was 6-4, 6-3, and then 3-6 to Girondolo, and 6-4 the last set for Nadal. So Nadal safely through to the next round in Wimbledon. He's the defending French Open champion. Other results maybe in the men's that I can mention is Stefanos Tsitsipas, number 4 seed. He's through. He beat Alex Richard of Switzerland by 7-6, 6-3, 5-7 and 6-4. And then in the women's side of the draw, it is Britain's favourite Emma Raducanu. She's was a former US Open winner. She came through a tough match against Coco van der Vega. She is from the USA. Van der Vega also played in the semi-final of Wimbledon a few years ago, and it was Raducanu that won that game by 6-2 and 7-5. On to some football news. It is still the clubs trying to get players. It is the season where they do the recruiting at the moment, and at the moment it is Manchester United that's quite active. They've got a Dutch coach in Erik ten Hag, and he's trying to get the Dutch international Frankie de Jong to come and play for Manchester United. They're still negotiating about that. Frankie de Jong is a very good player. He's a midfielder. That is what Manchester United need. He's 25 years old and played 44 times for the Netherlands. So also another player that Ten Hag is trying to get for Manchester United is the Feyenoord defender. His name is Tyrell Malsasia. Also, transfer news is on Chelsea's side, and they're trying to get the Brazilian winger, and his name is Rapinda. Rapinda has been playing for Leeds for since 2020, and Chelsea is trying to make an offer for Rapinda to join Chelsea. Now we continue with racing news, Formula 1 racing news. This coming weekend, lots of excitement for the next Grand Prix. That is at Silverstone in England. That is the British Grand Prix. One of the favourites normally that wins at Silverstone is Lewis Hamilton. He's been battling a bit with his Mercedes, and statements from Mercedes is that they seem to have sorted out the bouncing elements of the vehicle that made it difficult for Lewis Hamilton, and they were also allowed to make some structural changes in design changes that was allowed by Formula 1. Also news from Lewis Hamilton's side is that he said that the action needs to be taken against Nelson Piquet. That comes from Nelson Piquet making racial statements against Lewis Hamilton. That was on a podcast. Nelson Piquet, a Brazilian Grand Prix winner, way back in the 80s. He won the championship 3 times. But Lewis Hamilton said enough of talking, and action needs to be taken against Nelson Piquet. Let's close off today's international sports news with some golf news. It is the Live Invitational Golf Series that will continue at the end of the month. That will be in Oregon in the USA this time. The first tournament was played in England. News from the tournament is that 3 more players have joined the Live Series that will play in Oregon. One of them is Matthew Wolff. He is currently number 77 in the world, but he was a lot lower down the last 2 years. He also won on the PGA Tour. So Matthew Wolff, still young, 23 years old, so he will join the tour. Also the Brazilian, his name is Carlos Ortiz. Carlos Ortiz is 119th in the world at the moment, and he's joining his countryman Abram Anser. Abram Anser is 22 in the world at the moment, already confirmed that he will play in Oregon. And the last player to confirm to play in Oregon in the Live Series of Greg Norman is Eugenio Carcasia, and he is from Spain. He is the number 2 amateur at the moment, not a professional yet, but a very promising young player. Obviously, this Live Invitational Tournament is quite controversial at the moment. Lots of controversy related to the money, lots of prize money, but it's backed by the Saudi Arabian government. So that is the golf news for now. That's international sports news for now. Hope you have a great sporting day, and we talk again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you very much for watching our show until the end. Now, we are still running a competition. It's courtesy of Melita, and today is the last day. So please SMS so that you can be the lucky winner. All you have to do is answer the following question. Who is the Melita brand distributor in Namibia? Who is the distributor of the Melita brand in Namibia? You SMS your answer, your name, and Melita to 51500. That is Melita, your name and your answer to 51500. Melita is taking me out.
Yeah, of course. And it's a good way to start the day. Anna and I have been enjoying the Melita coffee, and trust me, you will too. And it's not just one type of coffee, different kinds of ranges, everything for everybody. But here on Africa Good Morning, we have been brewing the coffee that is regular and important news, pertinent news rather. And in that coffee, you may have missed as we're first pouring in the water before the sugar, which will be at the top of the show. So now we're going to make sure you have at least your nice little sip at the end of the show through our highlights. 8-year-old US boy shoots and kills baby girl, injures toddler sister with father's gun. Egyptian court sentences 10 to death on terrorism charges. Bomb explosions rock Ethiopian city. Tavern tragedy, carbon monoxide poisoning suspected. Rwandans fear leaving their homes in Congo as anger grows over rebel attacks. ESCOM employees start returning to work amid speculation of a higher wage offer. And Serena Williams falls out in Wimbledon women's draw first round. Those have been our stories.
Thank you very much for joining us on this Thursday edition of Africa Good Morning. We are so excited to hear from you each and every day. Send us your remarks regarding our show. You can post them on our Facebook and Twitter page, that is at Africa Good Morning. Please do visit our website, which is called One Up To. We have amazing shows that you absolutely love to see. Please be reminded that this particular show is on DSTV channel 285 as well as Gotv channel 94. And on that note, is all our love, all our light.